Hey there, fight fans. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe this episode of Combat Sports Talk. Welcome to Combat Sports Talk, a podcast dedicated to UFC and Bellator discussion, the MMA community, and combat sports in general. I'm your host, Ryan Smith, and joining me this week is the man with the keys to victory, John Keys.
Also known as the man with no facial hair this week.
You know what? I love it. I love it. Even though I like the beard too. We were teasing you about the about the gray hair, but you know what? That's okay.
Hey man, I'm okay with the gray hair. Only reason why I shaved is because November is coming along, and November is generally my cutoff time for shaving until spring again. Mm-hmm. So I just decided to get a fresh cut in there and be smooth and just let it grow naturally from there.
Well, here's the thing for me, because hair grows on my face so slowly that if I want to participate in November, Movember, or whatever for Men's Health Awareness, I have to start in October growing the hair.
Wow. No, this next week by next show, it'll be I'll have facial hair. I'm pretty sure.
Well, yeah, I mean that's awesome, and I have to respect your manliness for being able to grow a full beard. Like for me, I can grow the mustache and I can grow the chin, and so I got to cheat with the with the hair, right around my mouth. So I got two bald spots there.
Yeah, I got them right there too, believe it or not, because my hair comes in and then it'll dip a little and then it'll come back up like that, which is kind of cool if I really take the time out to actually, shaping it up out of that. I'm looking all like Mr. Steal Your Grandma, and it's pretty cool, man.
Mr. Steal Your Grandma. Well, hey, I gotta apologize to the fans who listen to the podcast on audio only. We recorded the show last week, and this is a reason why we prefer that you go to the YouTube channel, because I didn't get a chance to upload the audio from last week to the server. So for those of you who are listening to this episode and you're like, what happened to the audio stream from last week? Like, I didn't get a chance to do it. All kinds of excuses, but I'm not going to waste your time telling you I just didn't get it done. So I'm going to get this audio recording and last week's audio recording so that we get the continuity of the show, because we're going to talk about some things that we talked about last week in this episode, because we've got some updates for you. So so let's go ahead and get into it. This is, let me just start off with this. There were some great fights on Saturday night. The UFC Vegas 41, Costa versus Vettori, or Costa versus Vettori. That was a great card. Some great fights on that card. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go into the official decision and look at the results from Saturday night. This is the official decision. This is where we look at the fights on Saturday night. I almost hit the finish button on this recording, and we almost ended the show. Woo! Okay, that was a close call. We're going to talk about UFC Vegas 41, Costa versus Vettori. That was Saturday, October 23rd, 2021, at the Apex Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada. 5 fights on the card. Dwight Grant versus Francisco Trinaldo. Trinaldo defeated Grant by split decision. Very close fight. 27-29 and 29-27 on 2 of the cards. That's a tough one. Alex Caceres, Bruce Leroy.
Hey.
Now, he was an underdog versus Sung Woo Choi, but Alex Caceres defeated Sung Woo Choi via submission at 3:31 in round number 2. Now, this fight was an interesting one because you got 2 strikers. Alex Caceres, who is very much a karate style, well, probably kung fu style, Bruce Lee, imitator, got the be like water kind of movements, versus Sung Woo Choi, who is very much 100% of a kickboxer, and they were going toe to toe. Sung Woo Choi in the first round gets a big cross, takes out Alex Caceres, Caceres goes down, and Sung Woo Choi looks like he's going to finish it. But as Caceres is getting up, Sung Woo Choi throws an illegal knee, lands it right on the face of Alex Caceres, and in doing so, stops the fight. He loses his initiative. He loses a point, and Alex Caceres is allowed to recover and return to his feet. Round ends a 9-9 tie. It would have been a 10-9 round for Sung Woo Choi had he not thrown the illegal knee. Comes back in the second round. Sung Woo Choi is showing his dominance again, but he threw a punch a little bit too wild, which allowed Alex Caceres to move the fight to the cage. He took Sung Woo Choi's back, jumped on his back, locked in a figure four body lock, and went for the rear naked choke and was able to finish Caceres finish Sung Woo Choi at 3:31 in round number 2 to get his 5th consecutive victory. Everyone's saying it's time to give Bruce Leroy some actual competition, somebody with a number by their name. Bruce Leroy's been around forever.
He has. He literally his entire career, with the exception of maybe 1 or 2 fights, have been in the UFC. And if you've ever watched him fight, he's done nothing but improve, and improve. This is a rare submission from Bruce Leroy, okay? And it was good. I was impressed. He's poised. I do believe if he's put 5 together like this, under Muay Thai kickboxing rules, they'd be trying to give him a belt fight, okay, a championship fight. So let's start putting some names with some numbers beside it. Let's see what he does.
That's right. I'm excited to see it. I think he's ready too. In the next fight, Jessica Rose Clark versus Jocelyn Edwards. Jessica Rose Clark defeated Edwards via unanimous decision, 30-27 on 2 cards, 29-28 on 1 card. The interesting thing about this fight is Jessie Jess. I think she got tuned up for this fight by training with none other than George G Money Stallworth. What?
Are you serious? Are you serious?
So a few weeks ago, George went down to California to get some more work, to get some more training for his fight that's coming up. And he told me that he got to train with Jessie Jess. And so Jessica Rose Clark got a chance to train a little bit, spar a little bit with George G Money Stallworth. And look at the work she put in. Defeated Jocelyn Edwards. I think that's a sign. Coach to the stars, George G Money Stallworth.
Hey, Coach, we know why you ain't here. We understand. And you know what? This could be attributed to you as well. So congrats to Jessie Jess, and congrats to the training, the sparring techniques of George G Money.
Yeah, I think he was more so the one getting the benefit from her. He told me that her Muay Thai is amazing. He's what he said. He was very impressed by Jessica Rose Clark. And we should probably tell the audience that the reason why George is not here on the show, he sent us a note a while ago. He started his water loading, which is the preliminary stages of cutting weight for a fight this weekend coming up. George G Money Stallworth is entering the ring to fight in a Muay Thai fight. We'll talk about it a little bit later in the show as we get into the fight card, because we're going to make our picks of that fight. I think I have you down, John. You're going to pick against George Stallworth. Is that correct?
That will never happen. Okay, that will never happen, because I live too close to George. Which, what I mean too close, I mean I live in the same time zone as this man. I am not gonna go against George. He's got black Air Forces, people. I ain't mess with this man. He'll steal my tires. He'll steal the change out my truck, and he'll kick me at the same time. Okay, I'm not messing with the dude.
All right. Hey, next fight, Grant Dawson versus Rick Glenn. It was a majority draw.
Okay, explain that to me again, because we've had a talk about the majority draw. We were talking about Tyron Woodson and Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. Why don't you explain to me and the rest of the combat sports world about majority draws?
All right, but before I do that, I gotta correct you. You said Tyron Woodson.
Did I? I know I said Tyron
Is
Woodley. I know.
has he
And
fallen
then
off?
Stephen
Has he fallen off
Wonderboy,
that far after losing to Jake? After losing
man,
to Jake Paul, we can't even get his name right anymore. It's like Tyrone
man,
something.
yeah, Tyrone. We're just gonna call him Tyrone from
Yeah.
now on, man. Oh my goodness. Oh, don't find me, dude.
He's
Don't
that
find
guy
me. I know.
Tyrone something. Tyrone Woodson. That's his name.
Hey, I used to call him Tyrone back when he was fighting. Okay, it wasn't until
Yeah.
after he stopped fighting I was like, oh, his name is Tyron. Okay, oh my
Yeah.
bad. So
Yeah, they dropped the
yeah,
E.
not that. Yeah,
So what is a majority draw? A majority draw is so in a fight you typically have 3 judges, right? And each judge is scoring each round of the fight. After the fight is over, then the scores are tabulated to declare a winner. And then based upon the 3 judges, whoever, kind of like American Idol rules, how many yeses you get determines whether or not you make it to Vegas or not, right? Same thing with
right.
a fight. How many wins you get from the judges determines who wins the actual fight. Well, there comes a time when judges believe that it was a draw. And so a majority draw is when 2 judges say it was a draw and 1 judge picks the fight for another fighter. So the majority of the judges declared it a draw, hence the majority draw. You could also get a split draw, which is basically 1 judge scores it for one fighter, one judge scores
Yeah,
it for the other fighter, and then 1 judge declares it a draw. And then of course, a standard draw is all 3 judges agree that it was a draw. So those are your different types of draw. Grant Dawson and Rick Glenn was declared a majority draw. And so therefore it was 29-28. 1 judge gave the fight to Grant Dawson. The other 2 judges said that it was a draw.
well, see, here's the crazy thing. There was a bit of a controversy at the end, if you were watching, that he was out. That he ended the fight in a submission hold, in a guillotine choke,
Mm-hmm.
and when he let him go, you could clearly see, oh boy, was not there anymore. He was literally, he was somewhere else, and he was pointing to the judge like he's out, and they still because I guess because the bell had rang and the match was over, that they didn't declare it as a knockout at that point. But
Yeah. Any
um,
other any other time that happens, it would have mattered. But because it was at the end of the fight, I don't think that it matters anymore. So this is why it was such a big deal when who was it? Who was it? Oh, Brian Ortega versus Alexander Volkanovski.
right.
Between the rounds, Alexander Volkanovski was pound well at the end of the round, Alexander Volkanovski was pounding on Brian Ortega. The bell rang. Volkanovski walks back to his corner. Brian Ortega is laying down on the ground, and
Hmm.
so if he does not get up on his own power, then the referee is supposed to stop the fight right there.
Right.
Now
It didn't happen.
he
Got yanked out.
he didn't get up on his own power. His corner
No.
basically picked him up and sat him down on the seat.
Right.
I went back and watched it with George, and it wasn't as bad as people made it out to be, but it still was him laying down on the canvas, not getting
Right.
up after the bell rang. And so had what happened in the Grant Dawson Rick Glenn fight happened in any of the other rounds, if he was unconscious, then the fight would
That
have
fight
been
would have
stopped.
been over. Okay.
So, all right. But speaking of controversy, Paulo Costa versus Marvin Vettori was chock
Man.
full of controversy. This all started way back, before the fight, a week before the fight. Typically, and I'm finding this out with George. Typically, you want to be in striking distance of whatever weight you've contracted to fight at. So, for instance, George is fighting at 170. So he, tomorrow he should be somewhere in the 180, like low 180s, to make the cut down to 170. On Monday of the fight before Paulo Costa versus Marvin Vettori, Paulo Costa, actually, it wasn't Monday, it was like Wednesday.
Yeah.
Paulo Costa was weighing 211 pounds to fight at 185. So he was basically like 30 pounds heavy to try to lose weight in 2 days to make the the weight for the weigh-ins. And in doing so, this caused a great deal of controversy because number one, we talk about this all the time. Fighters have 3 rules, right? First rule is to train. Second rule, make weight. Third rule, win fights. If you don't make weight, then it throws everything off, especially if you're the headliner.
Exactly. And so let's talk about that for a second because first of all, we knew about this a week. We knew about it on Monday that he was overweight, that he was 25 pounds overweight. Okay. The fight press conference on Wednesday, Vettori was calling him out on him and asking him how heavy was he. He still said he was about 25 pounds. So everybody's freaking out like, is this dude going to make it? Is he going to make the weight or anything like that? Then that's when we start saying that, he'll make it to 195. Then at the last minute, he says, I can't do 195. Let's do it at 205. So here we are. He has jumped up to 205, and he makes weight at 205. Now, come fight night, everybody's like, well, he's not in shape. He's not going to be this is going to be a quick fight. No, it was not that case. He came in there looking like a monster. Okay.
Dana White estimated that he was weighing 220 pounds on fight night.
And that was 20 pounds of pure pain because they went in there and you know what? I said it before last week that this was going to be the fight of who hates Israel Adesanya more. Okay. And we proved it. Marvin Vettori was the one that hated him more because he was willing to do anything to fight and to get him. Okay. With that said, I don't know what kind of game that Paulo Costa was playing, but he was no slouch on Saturday night. He came in there, he was ripped, and he was a monster, and they fought. And I'm not talking about they had a match. No, they fought.
Yeah, it was definitely a fight.
Yes.
The thing is that's the thing with Paulo Costa and the gamesmanship. You don't know. People are saying that he didn't even try to cut weight. He just knew that that Vettori wanted this fight so bad that Vettori was going to take this fight at whatever.
Yeah.
But and so in doing so, he's technically able to fight at light heavyweight, but have it count on his 185-pound record. Because if he would have beaten Vettori, he would have said, "Okay, I beat Vettori, and I'm now ready to fight Israel Adesanya." And it's like we would just gloss over the fact that he came in almost 30 pounds heavy.
No, I think no. If he had tried to sit there and say, "Well, I beat Vettori, I'm in line for the fight," I think Dana on down would have destroyed Costa for that, because they're like, there is no way, just like there's no way that you're gonna come in there and game the system, try and goad somebody into an extra weight class, and then beat them in a different weight class, and then try to come back say, "Oh, I can still fight at middleweight. I just this was just I beat Vettori. He was no, you don't do that. You can't do that."
So do you know what the reason Paulo Costa gave for missing weight?
I heard the reason he gave, and I cry shenanigans, because he said it was a bicep tear. Okay, so he pointed to his left bicep at the post fight, and he said it was a bicep tear. Okay, I've torn my bicep, okay, and many times. That doesn't stop you from losing weight, okay? That doesn't stop you from getting out and walking around and exercising and getting the weight down. No.
That's right. I mean, that is exactly what Marvin Vettori said. He goes, a bicep tear doesn't stop you from running. It doesn't.
It stops you from eating biscuits, pumping those biscuits into your mouth. That's what it stops, okay? But it stops you from picking up wine. All right.
Well, you see, and this is exactly where I was going, is that this is the second fight that Paulo Costa has lost now, where he's had some lame excuse as to why he lost. So this one, he missed weight because he had a bicep tear. He lost to Israel Adesanya because he drank wine the night before the fight because he couldn't sleep. We cannot allow this to happen. I think Bruce has got a great point here. If we're going to let guys keep doing this, what's the point in weight classes at all? Go back to the UFC 1 rules. No weight classes, then you can't have it both ways.
That's what I'm talking about.
That is not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about that at all.
Bruce, you got a friend in me, man. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. All kidding aside, they'll never do that because they'll scream that it's unfair for the lighter weights and everything like that. That whatever.
Yeah, but
what they
here's
need to do is what Israel should have said they should have done.
Yeah.
Start taking that money. If you start at if you're over the weight by 1 to 2 pounds, you lose about 75% of your check. If you go higher than that, you lose 90%. And let's see how many people start messing up weight then.
Yeah, it's one of those things where the penalty for the penalty for having for missing weight isn't severe enough, and so I think that there's gamesmanship that's going on. But even though there is an option for let's just get rid of weight classes altogether, the other way I prefer is what Dana White has decided to do, and he said, Paulo Costa, you are now a light heavyweight.
Yes, that's fine because look at him. He was even at light heavyweight. He was a beast. He's huge. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm like, dude, it's okay, really. And you got plenty of competition up there for you.
Yeah, and to be honest, light heavyweight needs some different blood anyway.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead. I'd love to see Paulo Costa versus Yuri Prochazka. That would be a great fight.
I think any fight that Paulo Costa is in and he's actually on his game is a worthy fight.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons why. Well, hold on, before you go any further, I'm sorry to cut you off. Just go ahead and hit me with my button because I chose Paulo Costa. Okay. And I'm yes,
you did.
I did it. Okay. But I take that gladly, knowing that after this week, Marvin Vettori has gained my respect and he had my respect, but he has my respect and admiration because he said, I don't care. He said, I'll come in there. He is not getting out of this fight whatsoever. I'm going to fight him. He is going to know I was there. And I have nothing but respect for that. And anybody, that's a fight fan should appreciate that.
Marvin Vettori ate a massive head kick and just kept right on going forward. Like, I don't know what that dude is made out of, but it ain't flesh and bone. He's like a piece of iron, to quote the great Ivan Drago.
He must break them. Yes, he was just he absorbed shots and CTE. I mean, every time I saw him take a hit, it was just like, oh, CTE is here. Oh, I see.
And the body shots, the kicks he took to the body. Like,
he talked about those kicks. He said those kicks hurt. Okay, so I mean, and you look at the tree trunks that Costa had. I mean, they were no slouch. So yeah.
Yep. So I just want to throw this up there, pursuant to the or consistent with the conversation we're having about getting rid of weight classes. This would be Bruce. This would be a ridiculous. There would be Brandon could run, but there's nowhere to hide. Like, put that in the Apex arena, and it's just going to be darkness. Like, that would just
with that small ring.
He's like, Moreno could beat Ngannou. They just outpoint him. You're like, no.
You can't outpoint that. Okay.
You can't outpoint that. There's nowhere to run. Like, Ngannou's gonna get him. Like, this is like whenever you put the rat in the cage with the boa constrictor. Yeah, the rat's gonna run for a while, but the boa always eats.
Yes, and that's exactly what's going to happen. Trust me, there's a reason why this is not UFC 1 anymore. You're talking about a trained Ngannou versus a trained Moreno. Now, see, back in UFC 1 day, they were pretty much throwing whatever, oh, you say you're a martial artist? Come on in. Okay, that's how we got Tank Abbott. All right, think about that. However, when you have a monster that's trained like Brandon Moreno versus a true monster, the ogre himself, Francis Ngannou, in there, nah, man, It ain't gonna be pretty. It's gonna be real quick. It's gonna be real quick. Okay.
If Francis Ngannou lands a punch, that's gonna be instant death. Like,
yeah, it's like just
it,
pow, KO. We'll see KO hit the screen. Okay.
yeah. Jarenzo Rosenstruck couldn't take a punch from Francis Ngannou, and that dude weighed 260 pounds. Like, you get a 125-pound Brandon Moreno in there. That's not CTE. That's A, B, C, D, E, F, G. That's all of the letters.
That's it. That's it. That's IT. It.
IT.
DRT. Dead right there. That's what that is. Okay. My God, what if he slammed him? What if Ngannou just like slammed Moreno into the?
It would look like Hulk versus Loki in Avengers, right? Like little God.
God, oh my God, oh, I don't even want. I'm all about the violence. I don't even want to think about that.
Yeah,
That's like Mighty Mouse versus Cyril Gane. Oh, I'd love to see that.
Now, I would kind of want to see that just to see what happens. But
just see how fast he could be.
Yeah, but I still think that it would end very much the same way. DJ is just out.
One back suplex into the ground, and that's it. That's end of DJ ever.
Yeah,
that's it.
So we talked about the illegal strike that I'm sorry, his name is Sung Woo Choi had on Alex Caceres. There was a moment in round number 2 where Paulo Costa poked Marvin Vettori in the eye, and Jason Herzog took a point. Here's why he took a point. Normally, you get an eye poke; it's an accidental thing, and you'll get a warning and things like that. If you listen closely at the end of the first round, Jason Herzog goes over to Paulo Costa's corner and tells Paulo Costa, "Hey, you need to close your fist. You need to watch your fingers because I don't want you to get any eye pokes." And so he tells him that at the end of the first round. Second round, blow, eye poke. And so he was just going to warn Paulo Costa, but Paulo Costa was indignant. And Jason Herzog's like, "Hey, I need you to stop. I told you once you can't do this. This is bad." And Paulo Costa's like, No, I didn't poke him in the eye. And he goes, "No, you did poke him in the eye." He goes, "No, I didn't." Like, and that's when Jason Herzog looks at him, holds up a finger, and goes, "I'm taking a point." And it's like, Michael Bisping was like, "Herzog's not playing." Well, here's the deal. Daniel Cormier was bagging on Jason Herzog for taking the point.
Mm-hmm. I saw that.
He says, "We've seen much more severe eye pokes happen in fights. I've done it myself. I've poked guys more than this guy poked Marvin Vettori and didn't get a point taken away. As an official, you can't read the headlines. I think in this, Herzog read the headlines and he may have judged Costa unfairly. I don't think that's what it is at all. If you listen to the conversation while Vettori is recovering, Paulo Costa is not just going, 'Yes, sir, I'll watch my fingers.' He was actively arguing with Herzog, and that is why he took the point, not because of the eye poke."
And hey, it's just like with the cops. Don't argue with the cops, okay? Because you arguing with the cops, bad things happen. And this was one of those situations where Costa should have been like, "Yes, sir, I understand, sir. Won't happen again, sir, whether it will or not," and just let it go. Because the more you argue, you're not in the position to argue it, okay? Because now he has seen the fight, okay? He has seen the fight, and he knows he's wrong, okay? Mm-hmm. So you should have let it go the first time. Now, you lost. And you lost it bad, and not only did you get and nothing against DC, because once again, analysts aren't always perfect. But if you heard him warn him, and I've always been a sucker for discipline like that, I'll give you the warning shot next time you get the shot. Okay, that's it. And he gave him the warning shot between rounds. Hey, don't do that. If you do it, I'm going to get you. And he got him. That's all that needs to be said. There's no
but I don't think that Jason Herzog was going to deduct a point for the eye poke. I really don't think he was initially. Then when Paulo Costa kept running his mouth, that's when he took the point. But he's like, I told you, I warned you already. Now I'm taking a point. And it's like, bruh, if you'd just been quiet, you still would have lost because it was 48-46 on all the cards. So if he'd have got the point back, it'd have been a 48-47, 3 rounds to 2. But at the end of the day, he would have been in a better position. He wouldn't have needed a knockout, which he almost got.
Yeah, which, is something I'm beginning to see a pattern with Costa. Is he becoming a bit of a complainer? Looking for a reason? Remember now, the loss to Adesanya was his first one in his career. He hasn't been right since.
He ain't been right since.
But if you get done by the champion the way he got done at the end there,
yeah, that's kind of
does things. I've watched the documentaries about prison and stuff and how it changes a person, and yeah.
So
moving on, yeah.
Let's go. So let's go ahead and close the book on this one and put this fight on the shelf. This card is history. Now let's go into the fights that were making, or the headlines that are making waves in the MMA world with Finding the Angles. This is Finding the Angles. This is where we talk about the headlines that are making waves in the UFC or MMA world. We're not talking about UFC in this next headliner, but I know it's a topic that you want to talk about, so let's get into it. This is the headliner. Man, I'm pushing the wrong buttons. Look. This is why it's hard. When you're running engineer and you're running you're running the show as well. Pushing the wrong buttons. This is the headliner. This is where we talk about the number one thing we want to talk about in the headlines. And I'm doing this for Mr. John Keys.
Oh.
The last emperor, Fedor Emelianenko, wins his last fight. Surprise, surprise, surprise.
There was no surprise. There was none. Okay. Fedor, there's a reason why we call him the last emperor. All right. Because he is a warrior. It really needs to, for anybody who wants to watch the fight, go back and watch the fight and notice what he's doing. It's the little things he's doing that made the whole difference of the fight. He literally analyzed dude on the fly. He was testing him every bit of that fight until he unloaded on him. He measured him. He saw how he was throwing his punches, and he adapted to it in a way that every fighter should be adapting to their opponent. And he took him out with a 3-piece combo. What was that? 3 borscht and some vodka. He took him out with that, and that was it. All right. 3 borschts and some vodka, and that was it.
Dang. Well, it was the first fight in his home country in 5 years. Of course, Bellator 269 taking place in Moscow, Russia. And so, I mean, when Fedor landed the punch on Timothy Johnson, his opponent, for the longest time I thought he was fighting Anthony Johnson because I kept saying Johnson. I'm like, oh, Anthony Johnson, and it's like, no, it's Timothy Johnson. The lesser known Johnson of the Johnsons. Fedor lands his punch, and the dude he just goes to the ground. Like, he is out. Yeah. Fedor doesn't even have to jump on him, doesn't have to finish it. It was just, it was 2 hits. It was, Fedor hitting him and then him hitting the ground. Like, that's basically what it was.
And, it was awesome. And he's giving me hope. He's 40. He's 45 years old, so
that's right. That means there's hope for me.
And me and George wins this weekend. George wins this weekend. It's hope for me.
That's right. That's right.
It gives me hope. I'm not the oldest person here, people. Okay.
Right. So here's the deal, though. Everybody is one of the most well-known names in the MMA world is Fedor. He is on the Mount Rushmore for many people. He is for many people the GOAT, the true, the
Yes.
first, the only GOAT in MMA. I
Right.
get all of that. This fight, I think, goes back and says, hey, the legend of Fedor does not have to be over.
I agree.
But not everybody is impressed.
Mm,
And so Daniel Cormier came out and said, Fedor would have been average at best in the UFC back in 2009.
No. And I'm going to tell you why. Okay. Because a lot of people think that Fedor is an average fighter because when he fights, he doesn't look like he's doing anything spectacular. But it's as a friend of mine who's like a 4th-degree black belt in Kung Fu once said that, he said when it came to the belt tests and everything, we learned all these fancy katas, we learned all these fancy maneuvers, these fancy kicks and everything. He's like, in the long run, when it comes to the sparring part, you use the basics, okay? And that's what Fedor does. He goes in there, and it's not that he looks average beating these guys. He make these guys look like an average. He's getting beat by an average fighter, where you're getting beat by an advanced sambo fighter. Okay, he is a master of combat sport in Russia, which is like a master, like several black belt degree master. So he knows what he's doing.
So what you're saying is that a master of combat sports in Russia is like a master.
Yes. Master. Okay. Don't find me, guys. Okay, don't find me. I'm not worth the plane ride. Trust me. Okay.
I just like how you were like trying to explain that being a master in sambo combat sports is like being a master at combat sports.
Like, I'm not saying it's aliens, people, but it's aliens. Okay. All kidding aside, though, I mean that should be the true ability of any master fighter, is not to look like he's a super advanced fighter doing all these matrix moves, but he looks average, whooping the crap out of some of these advanced fighters. Did he get beat by Fabricio Verdum? Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Yes, he did. But Fabricio was on fire at the time. Okay.
But he also got beat by Antonio Bigfoot Silva.
Okay. Super legend. Okay. That's once again, you're fighting masters of the sport. So
I think what hurt him, like, because he lost 3, right? Like 3 in a row. Didn't he lose to? He lost to Bigfoot Silva. He lost to Fabricio Verdum, and then he lost to like Dan Henderson, right?
Yes.
And so that put the tarnish on his career, because it was like, well, he was once great, but then he lost to these 3 fighters who eventually went to the UFC. Bigfoot Silva basically he was just a tomato can for people. Fabricio Verdum did win the title and held it for one fight before he lost it. Well, he didn't successfully defend the belt, let's say it that way. And then Dan Henderson was always kind of just always at near the top, but never a champion in the UFC. So I think that put some diminished the legend of Fedor Emelianenko, and I think that's where Daniel Cormier is coming from. What he's saying is, and so I want you, in your honest opinion, and Bruce, if you can definitely weigh in on this in the audience, is this. So, DC said that Fedor would not have done well against Junior Dos Santos. So, in a fight between Fedor Emelianenko and Junior Dos Santos, who do you have? 2009 Junior Dos Santos.
Give me a second here. I'm putting it all together.
Cigano.
I wouldn't say Cigano. It'll be a hard fight.
You give it to Fedor.
A long fight. I'd probably give it to Fedor on experience alone.
Okay. Fedor versus Cain Velasquez.
Ugh, that's a hard one too. he would lose against Cain, okay, because Cain was just too he was too much of a force of nature in there at the time. So
All right,
yeah, I
last
could
one.
say he could.
Last one. You ready?
Okay.
Czech Congo. This
You
is
know
Daniel Cormier. This is Daniel Cormier. Daniel Cormier put Czech Congo's name. Like, dude, Czech Congo and Fedor are both in Bellator right now. Just schedule that fight. We can see what's going to happen.
We'll
Because
find
what was
out
going to
what
yeah, what's going to happen in 2021 is the same thing that would happen in 2009. Fedor would have taken Czech Congo behind the shed and whooped him.
He would have got him on the ground and owned him forever. Okay, it would have been NAACP would have saw them like, I don't know, man, I don't know. It would have been that bad. Okay, so all I'm saying is that you cannot. Okay, so let's look at the time frame. Let's look at what was happening at the time. Okay, first of all, Fedor hadn't fought in almost 10 years at that point. Once he left Pride, he kind of just stayed in the background. He started a promotion, M1 Global, okay, which turned out to be had some questionable ties, possibly with the Russian mob, okay, which is why Dana wouldn't touch them with the pole, because he's had his run in with the Russian mob. Long story, another day. And they were wanting Fedor to go to the UFC, and Dana was like, not for the price you're asking. There's no way that because at the time they were asking for like enormous. Not only was it a price, but they're also asking for a share of the UFC, and that was the part where Dana was like, no, never. And this kept going on for a couple of years, and then he loses to Fabricio. And once he lost to Fabricio, Dana started in the campaign. Oh, Fedor's washed up. He was a has-been. He isn't worth anything and everything like that. I would not believe that, okay? I will never believe that Fedor was a wash-up or a has-been by then. I would say that maybe he was out of practice. Yes. Was he going up against younger guys? Yes. Okay, but would I say that he was a wash-up? No, never would say he was a wash-up. That's my thing.
One more matchup, and then we'll move on.
What's that?
Fedor versus Brock Lesnar.
Ooh, I would take Brock Lesnar just for some fact that he came in here and made everybody look foolish. Everybody in the heavyweight division at the time, he made look foolish.
Okay, so here we go. DC said that Fedor would have beaten Brock Lesnar.
Yes.
Fedor would not have. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. So Fedor would have beaten Brock Lesnar. Mm-hmm. Fedor would not have beaten Junior Dos Santos, Cain Velasquez, and he would have struggled with guys like Czech Congo. There you go. Like I can't support Daniel Cormier with analysis like this. Like this is not this is not rooted in the same type of reality that I am watching from Fedor Emelianenko. So,
I mean, that, like I said, Cain Velasquez, I would kind of agree to, because, like I said, he was such a presence and he was aggressive, he was quick, he was strong, and he could strike. And Brock Lesnar, like I said, once again, there's a pattern there. They were both wrestlers. They were both super aggressive. They have massive hands. Okay. Maybe Brock would have lost to him just like he lost to Frank Mir, because he was still a rookie to the game at the time, and Fedor was smart enough that he could have caught on to that and got him to the ground and submitted him. Okay, so there's a 50-50 there.
Yeah, here's the problem. Let me hop in here. Here's the problem with that. Frank Mir beat Brock Lesnar prior to UFC 100 because UFC 100 was the rematch between Frank Mir and Brock Lesnar. And I don't and that was 2009. July 11th, 2009 was UFC 100 where Brock Lesnar fought Frank Mir. If you recall, Brock Lesnar left Frank Mir a bloody heap of bones and tissue on the mat.
Yes, I remember that. I akin that. I told people the hamburger meat that you get out of Walmart in that little tube. That's exactly what his face was looking like after.
Yeah. So I honestly I question whether or not Fedor would have beaten Brock Lesnar simply because Brock Lesnar, because Fedor, in my opinion, Fedor has always been a light heavyweight who fights at
Mhm.
heavyweight.
Okay, I can agree with that.
And Brock
Okay, he
Lesnar, at the time, the heavyweight champions, like the Shane Carwins and the Brock Lesnars,
mhm,
these are all guys who were 280 cutting down to 265
right,
and then ballooning back up to their normal weight. And so
right.
I just can't imagine a Fedor in
Well,
there against a 265-pound Brock Lesnar who's a, all-American, Division 1 wrestler who now understands Brazilian jiu-jitsu,
but
and can at least
okay.
not get submitted.
Well, see,
Uh
here's the
I
thing.
think he would have struggled with I think he would have struggled with him.
Well, here's the thing. Fedor has fought people that are bigger than him. Pete Thompson comes to mind in Pride. However, you know, and he beat him soundly because he went in there aggressively, thought he was going to beat him, didn't happen. But the thing I'm kind of wincing at Pride is because we learn now later that Pride had some janky moments. Okay, they had some janky officiating, if you will.
Well, and
You know.
and I would argue that for the same reason that you were calling out the Tank Abbotts of the world, there's a
Mhm.
lot of not technique going on in some of the Pride highlights that I've seen. Like, there's some
Yes.
great fighters and things like that, but it was very much rock'em sock'em, and that's what the Japanese audience loved about Pride, right? It was these guys weren't running away, and so when you start getting to 2009, 2010 UFC, you're starting to get the technique. You're starting to
Yes.
get the like we're starting to truly see the evolution of mixed martial arts at the time. I think that the sheer size of Brock Lesnar and his elite wrestling probably maybe he would have gotten submitted, on a tricky submission, but I think all things being equal, I think Brock Lesnar wins just because of the size and strength difference. I think Cain
Right.
Velasquez wins for much of the same reason. I think it's going to be a close fight with Junior Dos Santos in 2009, and I think that Fedor blows the doors off of Czech Congo. Um,
Yes.
you also had people like Pat Barry. I think Fedor would have been a contender. I don't know that he would have won the heavyweight championship. 2009 to 2011. I don't see that happening, but I do see him. He would have been he would have had a respectable career in the UFC without a doubt.
Okay, so I'm looking here, and this is probably like the last thing I'm gonna say on this because I'm looking at the three fight loss that he had. Okay, and every fighter, every great fighter has a loses at some point. Okay, except for Habib.
I mean,
Habib. So with that said, after that three fight loss, he goes on a tear for another, was that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, for another 6 years until he loses to Matt Mitrione, and then he fights twice again, and then loses to Ryan Bader. Okay, these are not these. I mean, these guys were young again, but he's not like losing like wash up losers. Okay, he's losing against some serious competition. Okay, I see no law. I see no. This man is not a has been. Okay, he will never be a has been.
yeah, but I do think that his time to shine in the UFC has passed because
Oh
now we've
yeah,
got
absolutely.
monsters sitting at the top of the heavyweight division in the form of Francis Ngannou and Cyril Gane. And so we got an announcement this Saturday that UFC 270 in January 2022 we will see Francis Ngannou versus Cyril Gane for the heavyweight championship of the world. I think they need to reinforce the cage. I think they need to add another level of they should just go ahead and build a concrete base upon which
That's my thing.
everything can sit, and
Or if
drill those poles because those are two massive guys going to be fighting for the heavyweight championship. I can't wait to see it because the moment they collide, I think it's going to measure on the Richter scale.
I agree. I think if anything, they should really build that island now and just have it off in the middle of the bay in Abu Dhabi. Just have a little island there, and like They have to helicopter Herb Dean in because nobody else can officiate except for Herb because he is the priest to the fight
Yes,
gods.
but
And
it's not fair because his fight name is the Predator, and Francis Ngannou is also the Predator. So that's not
then he
fair.
has to fight. Then they got to fight afterwards. Then it's a predator on predator fight. That's
Yeah,
how it's got to go.
it's
Two
got to go
predators
that way.
cannot be there. It's got to happen.
There can
So
be only one,
after,
which is the Highlander.
yeah, exactly. So I mean, it's got to happen like that.
But this fight is announced because Francis Ngannou has been very vocal, and he was on Ariel Helwani because if you want to say some crap about the UFC, there's no better place to go than to Ariel Helwani's show, right? And so Francis Ngannou told Ariel Helwani, he goes, "I've been trying to apply pressure with those extensions, but I did not sign a new deal." So basically, what Francis Ngannou is saying is that the UFC is supposed to give every fighter 3 fights per year. If they don't, then what they do is they sign an extension. And it sounds to me, if I understand what Francis Ngannou is saying, is that the UFC gets to decide if they're going to extend your contract. That it's not the fighter who decides whether or not the contract extension is going to happen. So the UFC reserves the right to extend your contract because they haven't delivered all of the fights within the time frame upon which they were supposed to deliver the fights. And so this makes it very difficult for people like Francis Ngannou, who only gets 1 fight per year, maybe. And there's nothing that he can do to get out of that contract. And so he's demanding that if he's going to have a contract, that there's a termination date upon which he can then either A, renegotiate the terms or go and seek other offers. And so we were kind of joking about the fact that Francis Ngannou says, I don't like having to borrow money for training camp. But when you start thinking about the fact that Francis Ngannou only fights once per year, maybe he doesn't fight once in a year and a half, or maybe even 2 years, that the money that he makes for the fight, and then after paying all your expenses and everything like that, and then not fighting for a year and a half or 2 years, what that does is that doesn't leave you with a lot of money. It's not like he's got another job.
Right. But I thought it was the other way around, that, the UFC offers fights to you. And if you turn that down, then they have the ability to extend the contract or not. And that's the UFC doing that. Because that's how I thought it was supposed to be. And he's saying that no, that if they don't produce, they still have the ability to say, well, we'll extend it or not. So I'm kind of confused there. So yeah.
Yeah. So, but what is starting to illustrate is the fact that perhaps the UFC has a lot more power and control over these fighters than what we originally believed. And so basically Francis Ngannou is saying that he would like to go and try to box, but he's not going to be able to try to box until he fights out his fights on his contract, which keeps getting extended. So, I don't know what that means for Francis Ngannou, but at least we know that there is light at the end of the tunnel. We're going to get to see Cyril Gane versus Francis Ngannou in January, and if we do, hopefully he will get the satisfaction, the revenue, the money that he needs to be able to live comfortably as a UFC champion should.
Agree.
Now, I'm skipping around a little bit. We were joking and saying, well, these two guys are going to reinforce the octagon whenever these two guys get into the cage. But this past weekend, we got to see 587 pounds of fighters walk into the KSW 64 super heavyweight ring. So you have a Polish strongman, Maurice Pudzianowski.
Fair enough.
Maurice Pudzianowski. And Senegalese wrestling sensation Bombardier Seragin Ousmane.
All right.
We'll go with that. They fought at KSW 64. So you have Pudzianowski, who was 260 pounds, and Bombardier came in at 327 pounds.
Oof. Big boy. Good Lord, that's a lot of meat in that ring. Oh,
Fight lasted 18 seconds.
I bet it did.
Pudzianowski lands a hammer of a punch, and he said that he hit the dude so hard that the guy was asking if the fight was over. Like the Bombardier hits the ground and it's like, "Is the fight over? Is it over?"
Wow.
And it's like, dude, you don't even know what happened. Now, oh, wow. I know KSW is the challenge with it is that I don't know that there's very much regulation within the KSW. These guys are massive. Like, you see some of these guys walking into the cage, and it truly is like, a marvel of genetic science. And I say that tongue in cheek, as these guys are walking into the ring with all the technology that the human race has to offer these fighters.
Obviously, you've never seen Grappler Baki. Totally, you see that, you'd be like, okay, I see what they're doing here. They're making
I'm just saying. You're talking about. You'd like to see fighters fight. Even if their urine is green and glowing, like that's basically KSW.
What sparkles?
Yeah. Like you get one of those radiation meters, and it's like, it's clicking. What's it called? What's the radiation meter
like,
called?
Whoa, hold on. I think he's good. Let's let him in.
He's ready. Yeah, Geiger counter is what it's called. The Geiger counter is like, all the way up, and it's like, yep, he's ready now. We'll
let him in.
So these guys, if you see a picture, go and look at a picture of KSW 64 and just see how big these dudes are. Now, I've actually gotten into a rabbit hole. I got into a rabbit hole on YouTube and watched Senegalese wrestling. And let me just say that these guys are massive and they're powerful and they're strong, but they're not strikers, dude. No. It's like, it's impressive that you got this 327-pound dude in the ring and you knocked him out in 18 seconds. But he's not Francis Ngannou. He's not Cyril Gane.
No. But
like, these guys aren't barely even keeping their hands up. Their job is wrestling. It's about it's almost like sumo wrestling. Like, this is what it is. It's not striking. So, I'm impressed by the size, but I'm not impressed by the skill.
Right. Because could you imagine? I mean, I'm looking at these big boys. Could you imagine if they had a year of like Jackson Winklejohn, under them, just a good solid year of training under Greg Jackson alone? What kind of monsters these guys would be?
I hear they have an opening.
I heard. It can happen. Let's make that happen.
It could happen. Hey, Dan Hooker is facing off against Islam Makhachev.
Wow.
And remember, this was, Dan Hooker had the option to go back to New Zealand, or he could take a pit stop in Abu Dhabi and fight Islam Makhachev and not go home and see his family for the rest of the year. And he took the fight against Islam Makhachev and basically did a solid for the UFC, but also I think that this is going to be the exodus of city kickboxing from New Zealand because of all of the regulation for COVID. They're not letting these fighters train, and they're not letting these fighters return home after fighting. And so because of that, Dan Hooker said that he's going to fight Islam Makhachev, who he says he ain't Superman. And he's feeling very confident that he can beat Islam Makhachev, which, just for the fans, if you know this guy's Habib Nurmagomedov, people are saying that Islam Makhachev is like the second coming of Habib.
Yes.
Like, Habib but better.
And that's really scary. That's really scary. I mean, and hats off to Hooker. If I'm gonna miss my family, you darn right I'm gonna beat somebody. I'm beating somebody. If I can't see my family for the rest of the year, yeah, you're gonna get these. And you know what? He picked the right matchup for it because these two are gonna go in there and it's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be dead on awesome. I promise y'all.
So I'm excited to see this fight because Islam Makhachev, of course, is cornered by Khabib Nurmagomedov. So so it's basically if Dan Hooker can win this fight, I think the first person he calls out is Khabib. Be like, I beat your boy. Now you come in the ring. I'm gonna do it again to you. Like I would. That's what I forget trying to fight for the title. No, you go straight for the heart of darkness right there. You go straight for Khabib and be like, Khabib, I'm not even worried about Charles Oliveira because I beat your boy. I want you. I want to be 26. I want you to be 26 and Dan.
Ooh, you are the practice. Okay,
because what happens is this. How does Khabib go? Nah. Khabib he's got to stand up and say, yes, I'll take that fight. If Dan Hooker, how big a fight would that be? Dan Hooker gets Khabib to come out of retirement. And if Dan Hooker could beat Khabib, it's a free shot at the title.
Khabib is not coming out of retirement no matter what. Okay, y'all got to understand.
So you're telling me that if Dan Hooker beats Islam Makhachev and then points at Khabib and says, what I did to your boy, I would do to you, stay retired, that Khabib wouldn't be like, send me location.
See, we would love to hear that because that's how we think. However, a man with no ego will not be turned. Okay,
that's sage advice.
That's I learned it from Ezioku. Okay, I mean he's not going to be phased by him and Hook because guess what? I've been there, done that. You trying to get where I am? I'm already here, homie. All right, you go 29-0 or go 30-0 and then holler at me. Then we might have something to say.
All I gotta say is that Khabib is unflappable. He gives off the impression of being unflappable. But must we go back to UFC 229? It was 229, right?
Yeah, is that where we saw the eagle fly?
That's where we saw the eagle fly.
Yeah.
Let's not forget the fact that Artem Lobov talking smack on some radio show that nobody listens to.
That's not true because apparently he got hemmed up for it. Okay,
he got hemmed up for it. Like Khabib has it in him. Now, whether or not Khabib will let it out, that's a whole other story. But we know we know that he's got it in him. So you tell me if you were Dan Hooker, you just beat Islam Makhachev, even if it's by split decision. Even by split decision, you don't shoot your shot with Khabib, knowing that he's sitting in the corner right there. You don't say nothing to Khabib. You don't at all. You don't say anything.
So have you ever watched? You watched the Karate Kid, right? You've watched Karate Kid Part 3, right? With Michael Barnes. Yeah. And you remember when after he's done beat Danielson up all for the entire match, is down to sudden death, and Danielson's laying on the ground, and Michael Barnes jumps down there like a drill sergeant and is going off on him. That's what I would do to Khabib. I would go the extra mile to actually bite the cage while he's right there and kind of foam at the mouth a little bit, just to let him know how much I want to get at him. Okay, that's what I would do.
Yeah.
However, that's what I would do in my mind. However, what would translate out is me pointing at him like, you right here on the ground, dead. That's what I would do. Okay, that's how I would translate. But yeah, I mean, underground talking about your sambo is a joke. I own you. I own your master. I own your dad. I would say it would be no holds barred right there. But
yeah, here the only problem is I don't think that Dan Hooker could muster even half of a burn. Like that dude doesn't seem like he could even put
Dude.
together a solid roasting. Like,
Okay, under normal circumstances, I would agree with you. But you're talking about a man that has forewent going home to his family, okay, for the rest of the year. And you think he can't generate some heat? I think my boy got it in him to generate
look, he
some
better.
super heat.
Let me say this to Dan Hooker. Dan, I want you to look me in the eyes. If you beat Islam Makhachev on Saturday, okay, you beat Islam Makhachev, plan for it. Take a little bit of your training camp. Call up Izzy and let Izzy tell you what to say on the mic. That's what I need you to do.
Wow. You gotta call out the big guns, huh? Yeah.
Listen, Izzy you need to prep your boy. Because if he wins on Saturday night, you got to give him what to say. He's got to go at the neck of Habib. Get that fight for your boy. Because you got Dustin Poirier and Charles Oliveira trying to fight. So if Gaethje beats Michael Chandler, then Gaethje's going to get the next fight. So you're at least 2 fights out from being able to fight for the title.
Mm-hmm.
So go for Habib. Take that shot. What you got to lose? You got nothing to lose. You got to say the right thing so everybody can print it. Everybody can be asking Habib everywhere he goes, what do you think about Dan Hooker? What he said. What do you think about Dan Hooker? You gotta give us a sound bite so we can be like getting Habib to get back into that cage. So
exactly.
There you go.
It's gonna have to be hot. It has to be like super hot. It has to be Clubber Lang hot. Okay, that's the level he'll have to go to. Is Clubber Lang to get him back in that ring.
All right. Hey, last one. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just saying because Habib is on his Rocky life right now. He's just training people.
Yep.
He ain't doing nothing.
So last one, Conor McGregor. The latest on the Conor McGregor issue. We talked about it last week. Basically, Conor beat up an Italian DJ allegedly, and the Italian DJ has now filed charges and is pressing charges against Conor McGregor. He's going to sue Conor McGregor. And so, therefore, we're going to see what happens. Dana White was asked about it, and he's like, I don't know the truth. I don't know what's happened. I haven't really talked to Conor about it. So he's like, I can't. He knows what's happened. Because if Conor was innocent, he would have been out there saying Conor is innocent.
Yeah. He knows what's going on. He's playing the game. As far as I'm concerned, okay, I think there's something here. And because it was, if I remember him, remember the guy talking, he said that they were at a party, and he told Conor in so many words, "Let's go," and Conor turned around and swung on him. And I'm like, is Conor got some CTE issue there, where if he hears certain key words, he thinks he's back in the ring? I don't know. It is what it is.
Yeah. Well, it's one of those things. I'm going back to last week where we talked about it. It was 2:30 in the morning, and he was attacked by Conor. He said that punched him in the mouth, broke his nose, and attacked him without motivation. They talked for 2 hours, had fun together.
And there's the party and said, "Let's go." And Conor turned around and punched him. I think that he's got tricked. He slipped into a different place, and he thought he was in the ring, and
Yeah. It's a really odd situation. I don't know if it's just because of the language barrier that the description of what happened isn't as clear as I would have liked it, but it does seem, what we do get from it is that it was an unprovoked attack. Conor McGregor, threw a punch on this dude. His wife was there. His wife saw it. And, both of them are talking about how dangerous this is. This does not bode well for Conor because of what happened at the Video Music Awards, the MTV Video Music Awards, where he started throwing drinks at Machine Gun Kelly. He's got other instances of throwing the dolly through the bus window, beating up the patron at the bar for not drinking proper 12. Like you got him smashing a phone. There's so many instances of Conor McGregor lashing out that I can't help but believe that this happened the way that the DJ said it did.
Yeah. I mean, we need more information. We need more information, but
Yeah,
right now it doesn't look good.
it
It's
doesn't
not a
look
good
good.
look, dude.
Not a good look.
It's not a good look.
All right. That's it for our headlines. Let's go into the final segment of the show, and that is the fight card. This is the fight card. This is where we talk about the fights coming up on Saturday night. Now normally we would just jump right into UFC 267, Blakovich versus Teixeira, Saturday, October 30th, 2021 at Etihad Arena on Fight Island in Abu Dhabi. But there is a more important fight to us that's happening on October 29th in the year of our Lord 2021 in Oklahoma City at the Oklahoma Kickboxing Championships, aka OKC, Canafist 2, Malice in Wonderland.
That's what I'm talking about. That's all I got. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, OKC Canafist is live on Fight TV. So if you want to watch our own George G Money Stallworth get into the cage or to the ring and fight, it's going to be on Fight TV. Please support George Stallworth. It's Malice in Wonderland. Both the main and co-main are title battles, heavyweight championship and women's lightweight championship. Contenders in full fight are listed. So the main event is Oscar Bebop Del Cid versus Jason Klein. Co-main event, women's lightweight championship, Ashley Trashier versus Lindsay Ann Bloody Valentine.
Wow.
It's a pretty dope names.
I know. I'm that's what I'm seeing. I'm looking at I'm like, okay, I'm here for you guys. I really am.
One of the feature fights is 170 pounds Aaron Diaz versus George G Money Stallworth. That's the fight we're gonna pick. I got George Stallworth by knockout. This dude is so ready that I am concerned for Aaron Diaz for his family. Like
we're not
we should.
That. No,
we should.
We're not going to do that because we were the reason why that he lost 2 other fights because we talk so much trash. No, I refuse to say anything. I'm just going to say George G Money Stallworth's going to win. That's it. I am not wrecking it for my boy. Okay, we can talk all the trash afterwards. We could talk trash the day of because he ain't chickening out the day of. But I refuse to talk trash to hype up, my boy G Money. It's nothing personal, George. All right, but you know why. Okay, why.
Yeah, so the fight is going to be October 29th, 2021. The fight card starts at 6 p.m. It only costs $20 on Fight TV. So please support George. Please support this card. Pay the $20 and watch it, or convince your local bar to pay for it. Put it on. Get some exposure for George. This is something that has meant a lot to him. He was supposed to fight 4 months ago, I believe, and his opponent.
We cost him.
Yeah, his opponent did not want to fight, and then his opponent came back, and the same guy decided to fight not at 185 but at 170, and so George is like, "Fine, I'll cut down to 170, and I'll still beat you." So we're gonna see what happens, man, and so I'm excited to see what's gonna happen with him. Please do support Canafist 2 Malice in Wonderland, Oklahoma Kickboxing Championship, live Friday night, October 29th at 6 p.m. on Fight TV.
That'd be a great date. Take your date first date.
It's supposed to be date night. It's supposed to be date night for me. Plus, Christina's parents are going to be in town, so.
The parents. It's a fun, wholesome family event. Right,
I'm gonna be at 6 o'clock. I'm gonna be like, I gotta go and watch some fights. I'm gonna be back in about 2 hours.
No, take the family with you. Take the wife, take the parents. Like, hey, let's go watch some Muay Thai destruction. Let's go and just and just go for it, man.
Yeah. All right, and then on Saturday, October 30th, we've got Blakovich versus Teixeira. We got 5 fights on the card. We're gonna do fight picks on all 5 fights. So let's get into it. Marcin Tybura versus Alexander Volkov at 260 at heavyweight.
Ooh, that's a lot of big beef in there. I'm going Marcin Tybura. I'm going in. I know you can't.
Yeah, I don't think I can. I think I gotta go. I think I gotta go. Rule number 1 says, never bet against the Russians. and I think Alexander Volkov is Russian. So I'm double checking it now,
Yeah,
hoping.
don't do it. Don't do it because I'll look because I avoided looking up Belarus to squash you from last week. But if you do it, I do it too. Okay.
No, Alexander Volkov is Russian. I got Russian.
Okay.
I'm going Alexander Volkov.
All right.
All right, here we go. The next fight of the night is the fight we were talking about before. Dan, the Hangman Hooker versus Islam Makhachev. Who you got?
I'm definitely going with Dan, Hangman Hooker. I'm going for it because there's nothing more that I can respect than a fighter that is going to fight and he puts sacrifices in the way for his fight life. I got to do it.
All right. Next fight of the night is Magomed Ankalaev versus Volkan Ozdemir at 205 pounds.
Volkan Ozdemir. I'll take him.
You know who I got?
Who you got?
Ankalaev because he's Russian. Never bet against the Russian.
Aren't they both Russian? No, wait a minute.
No. Volkan Ozdemir is like Switzerland, I think.
Is he?
He's either Switzerland or Swedish, but I think it's Switzerland.
Let me look it up. Ozdemir. I think you're right. I know he's not Russian though, man.
Swiss, yeah, Switzerland.
Okay, right.
All right, you got co-main event for the interim bantamweight championship because, of course, Aljamain Sterling is nowhere to be found, aka injured. Corey Sandhagen versus Peter Yan. Who you got?
I'm gonna take Peter Yan because that Peter Yan versus Aljamain Sterling fight needs to happen, so they can put some respect on Aljamain's name.
You know who I got?
Taking Peter Yan. Peter Yan.
You know why?
Because never bet on the Russian. Well, is he from? He's not really.
He is Russian. Peter Yan is Russian as well.
Russian.
Like I don't even know why. I don't even know why this fight is in Abu Dhabi. They should just go ahead and put it in Russia.
There's reasons why, and we are not a political combat sports talk. We are just combat sports talk.
All right. Okay, and the main event of the evening: Jan Blachowicz versus Glover Teixeira. Who you got?
I'm taking Glover. I'm taking Glover
really?
Teixeira because hey, I'm doing it. I'm doing it because I'm doing it for our age range. Okay, Glover is still making it happen. This is it for him. Okay, I have faith that he'll do it, and then if he wins, he's gonna hold on to the belt until somebody takes it from him, and then he'll retire. If he doesn't make it tonight, Saturday night, he's going to retire right then and there.
Yeah. This is do or die for Glover Teixeira. He's got everything, nothing to lose, everything to gain, because he knows that this is his last shot at the title. If he loses tonight or Saturday night, I'm making the same mistake you are. If he loses on Saturday night, he's not going to get another shot. Right. He's too old. So it's now or never, and I think that when it's now or never, you introduce a very dangerous fighter into the octagon. However, Polish power, and it's not just Polish power, it's the power of the hangman's noose. So you forgot that the reason why Jan Blachowicz is the heavyweight champion at light heavyweight is because he found we know the story. He found a dude hanging in the forest, and it's in Poland. It's good luck if you find a hangman, a guy hanging. You take the rope and you keep that piece of that rope. It gives you good luck. I don't understand how the magic works, but Jan Blachowicz, I don't know that he's been beaten since he got that rope.
You know how bad it has to be for that to be good luck? Not to be a guy hanging. I'm gonna be lucky now. How bad is your life at that point? Okay, that is good luck. That you find a hanging man in the forest. Okay, just chilling.
Yeah. Okay. So Jan Blachowicz via the spirits of the underworld through the power of his hangman noose. I think he's gonna add Glover Teixeira to that list of fighters that he's beaten.
That makes a great anime right there.
Oh, it makes a great anime. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be a great Baki. People who are looking and who are making the next Baki series, put that in there. We got you. Thank you.
All
You already
right.
got Muhammad Ali in there. You already had let's see, they had Muhammad Ali, they had Mike Tyson. They love their boxers. And yes, make that happen right there. We got you.
All right. Well, follow us on social media on Instagram. I'm at Combat Sports Talk.
I'm at Keys to Victory. That's Keys with an ES.
And follow George on Darkside _ Muay Thai _. Like, please give him some support. At least just go out there and tell him, hey, we support you. Good luck on Friday night. You know, send your love George's way. He's cutting weight right now. I can't even talk to the dude. He's like, I'm serious. I'm not gonna be on the show. You're not gonna see me until after the fights. So he's doing it.
Man.
He's doing it. He's doing rule number 2. He's been training. He's cutting the weight. He's going to make weight. I know he is. Last thing he's got to do is win fights. And I think Aaron Diaz is going to be in for a big, big surprise. So shout out to MMA Junkie, MMA Fighting, MMA Mania, and Bloody Elbow, and the Intelligent Defense Discussion Group. I don't know if you've noticed this, but we are getting more people to join in Intelligent Defense Discussion Group. So
let me say one thing. A shout out to Gordon Wilson for making the absolute longest post I have ever read in my entire life on Facebook. My God, it was like a TED Talk on there, man. I mean, seriously. My big screen here, I got a 55-inch screen. It covered it top to bottom with his dissertation on, I believe it was weight classes. But
yeah.
Gordon Wilson, you the man.
Yeah. So Bruce, if you're still watching, I sure hope you're in the Intelligent Defense Discussion Group, because we these are the types of discussions that we want to foster. I actually have to go back because I read like the preview, because I only got the preview part of Gordon's response. I had planned to go back and respond to that, and I didn't. So I'm gonna go back and respond to that. So we go. It's not over. I got a point to make. So we're gonna do that. You know what? I don't wake up every morning and choose violence, but I do wake up every morning and choose conflict. I like to argue, and that look, the Intelligent Defense Discussion Group is like therapy for me. So,
indeed.
Yeah, I don't choose violence. I choose conflict. Let's go. But thank you to everyone who's participating in the group. We want to grow it. The more we grow it, the more people participate, the better that group's going to be. So, definitely, if you can hear the sound of my voice, go on Facebook, join the Intelligent Defense Discussion Group, and then let us hear your opinion. Just remember, you defend yourself intelligently. Bring facts, not opinions, or we'll get you. All right. Yep. On behalf of John Keys, my name is Ryan Smith, and I want to remind you to keep your hands up, your chin tucked, and throw bombs. We'll catch you next time.